Okay, so these are from New Times Hair. They'd run out again, like everybody's running out. And once again, I've ordered 0.06 because they said that 0.03 millimeter poly would not accommodate medium density, only medium light density at best, because it was too thin, it would break. Potentially that's what they had in mind with Lordhair. But I know Lordhair makes medium density 0.03. New Times Hair doesn't. I didn't ever have any problems with the 0.03 millimeter poly from Lordhair. In fact, I've got one in that box still unopened because it's my emergency best piece, you know. So they were able to achieve medium density with 0.03. This company is unable to. Alright, so there are two color number 4s, which is medium dark brown, and then a color number 4 ash, which I think is more copper looking or something. So it's been stapled together. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Now this is the ash one. This is color number 4. So there's an ash in the color number 4 and a color number 4. I'll open the color number 4. Alright. The staple, terrible idea. I almost just tore through the whole thing. And now it's dangling around in my bathroom. It's going to fall on the floor and probably cut my foot. Not a good thing to add in your packaging. All right. Get the netting. Plastic. They've got an Ashworth tag. This does not look clear, does it? Looks very white or something, doesn't it? Like not a hairpiece, but rather a wig. Like extreme thickness. I don't know if that's what it adds up to. That doesn't seem too bad, but if I put this over my skin, look at the shine on that plastic, man. That plastic looks shinier than your mom's vagina. That is the shiniest looking plastic I've ever seen. Wow. Let's hope that doesn't translate to being extreme shine underneath the hairpiece, otherwise this will go in the garbage. Or I'll send it back for a refund this time. I'm sick of being ripped off. Now we're going to have to look at how well the hairs translate through. Does it look, is the density good, basically? And also, are the colors fine underneath? Pressing with my thumb. Almost immediately I'm seeing cornfield lines due to the absolute lack of bleaching of any roots at all. So the roots are the same color as all the hairs, so it will look like a wall of hair right across the front hairline, and there'll be cornfield lines all the way through. And hopefully they've stitched front to back at the front as well as at the back, so I can get 2 hair pieces out of it. Now this has got a very thick density, which is good, gives me more options, but can potentially sometimes look, you know, like a hair piece if you don't blend it in nicely. it's hard for me to navigate this without wetting it, so I'm gonna wet it now. Alright, so looking at the front hairline here, this density may be excellent, or it may be too thick, but it's a nice change from having this very thin hair piece. But even now, just seeing my thumb go around underneath there, it seemed extremely shiny, the plastic. So the shiny plastic and the cornfield lines are the two things I want thick hair to cover. Right? Otherwise, everyone will choose medium light density, but we know that we can't choose that because glue is way too shiny at this point in history. And they've got cornfield lines with these, and you just want to cover it over. With the perfect glue, you might, be wise to choose lace, French lace, or you could even choose Swiss lace if you wanted to. But no, it's very difficult to maintain that front hairline with those ones. I mean, it's good for a movie set where you're just taking it off at the end of the day. But if you want to keep it on for more than like 2 days, it'll be very dirty across there, and you got to keep lifting it every single. It's too much. That's why you need poly. Just stick it down the front, just slap it down. That's what this is. And I've deliberately chosen poly because lace gives me the shits. Too much effort. Okay, so it's got a good thickness to it, I think, good density. In terms of colour matching for me, colour number 4. Well, it's hard to really tell. It's wet, my hair's wet a bit, so everything's darker. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see when it does dry if that's a good match for me. I'm worried that I'll get that big lift off, which is why it's good that my hair is a bit longer at the moment. I was just about to sort of cut it shorter, but using my invention, the vacuum attachment that takes this, right, that's been screwed in. I've got to detach all of that to put this back in. Anyway, I might have to grow my hair longer to deal with the density, otherwise I'll get the very thick, dense lift where my hairpiece begins, you understand? Because I will not be wearing a full top-up, just a partial. Okay, I'm gonna go to the park. I'll deal with that another day, because this hairpiece I'm wearing now is very new, and I don't really want to take it off and swap it over yet. Just wanted to have a quick look at what they've sent me. So far, seems okay. I'm a bit worried about the shininess of the plastic base. I don't remember it being this sort of shiny in the past. I feel like there are two sides to it, because this side facing you now doesn't seem as shiny as this other side. You know how some materials look different on the back and the front? They should scratch it or something so that it's got some sort of matte finish. I don't know. But a perfect finish, the less microscopic topography it has, the more it's going to be shiny. So they need to really matte finish it up somehow. Maybe just press the whole, or just when you're melting the plastic into a mold, don't let the flat area be too flat or something. I don't know, but solve it. So I'm just using my stencil now to cut out, well, I was going to, cut out 2 partials, right? That's what I can usually do. But this hairpiece from New Times Hair seems larger, like olden days larger, like lace piece larger. Now, the problem, if you ever have a front hairline with poly hairs that are going sideways or not straight nose to spine, is that it's not going to look realistic. You can never get those hairs to look great. But if you always have a brush forward look, it is possible to wear a hairpiece in an emergency situation that would still be okay. And my stencil seems to now fit 3 times. So this hairpiece is now 1/3 of its price for me to get 3. Now clearly that front hairpiece, which is the opposite side as the Auschwitz tag, is the front. That's the main reason they made this hairpiece, because that's supposed to look realistic. The rest they've just probably stitched, well, I can't say badly because I haven't been able to observe it yet, but at any rate, if they've gone outwards, then it is possible that the front hairline and this one, see I've written H there because that's a bit shallower and that's more, let's say, convex. And so I can get 3. Potentially all 3 will be okay. And if that's the situation, I'll be very happy. Well, would you look at that? 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Obviously, I've got the edge pieces of these hair pieces with Auschwitz tag bits all over it. See if this company's the first in the world to ever allow me to pick this off. No. Still insanely hard. But yeah, 3 pieces. I don't know how well I'll be able to blend this stuff in. Okay, we'll cut them out. Well, it's nice to hold medium density again. Okay, so I managed to cut out 3 hair pieces. Okay, so I've cut this first colour number 4 hairpiece into 3, which is brilliant. It looks like the hairpiece flows out in every direction. So hopefully even those 2 edge pieces, and you can see there's a bit of Auschwitz tag on there and on the edge of that one. Hopefully that won't cause too much of a visual problem when I put it in. And that gigantic spider looking thing crawls off into the bin. Colour number 4, same as that one over there. All right, so side by side in this lighting, I'm not sure if you can tell the difference. That looks a lot more red. That one looks like sort of medium brown. It's actually medium dark brown. Number 5 is medium brown. As far as I can tell within the industry standards. So let's just go and open that up so we can get a better look at the hairs. Okay, so from my perspective, they look like completely different colors. This number 4 ash, sorry, no, this is this is color number 4 ash. And this is color number 4. That's interesting. It is a completely different, like none of them seem to have any grays or blacks or any other color. It's a solid color. There's a fold here, but that's fine. It's just the way it was packaged. So I can easily stretch it out and I can feel it doesn't exist. All right, so this is color number 4 as well. So this is 4. So this is supposed to be this one. I'm already seeing a problem here with the way that's been stitched sideways, the way I've cut it. Let's just hope that the front hairline has all hairs going in one direction. Because at the back there, that's a bit of chaos. That's going to be my perimeter. I'm just talking about the cut now, not the color. But isn't that interesting? That looks like a 3rd kind of color. If that's number 4, and I did pull it out of there, and that's 4 ash. That looks more like 4 ash. Now it is possible that they put it in the wrong container, because that definitely looks different from these two, which sort of seamlessly blend together, don't they? There are my 3 hair pieces so far. I'm going to cut another 6 out of these. It's brilliant that I'm getting 9 hair pieces out of 3 hair pieces again, like in the old days. That's fantastic. Wow, they really didn't give a shit when they stuck this thing on, did they? Okay, now it's time to bleach these 9 pieces at the front hairline with L1++ Nordic Blonde from Schwarzkopf. Just get rid of that first bit. It's never mixed properly at the top. Okay. Just a quick look at the time. It's 10 to 4, so I'll give it half an hour. Okay, so I'm still wearing the 0.06mm medium light density hairpiece from Lordhair. This was a fill-in piece. They gave me a bunch of them during COVID. You know, I think there might still be problems with shipping and so on internationally, but hopefully it's cleared up a lot. Now you can see I've cut away a lot at this hairline because it was just becoming a bit of a disaster, and it's now even more of a disaster, as you can see. So this camera actually shows you the truth, as opposed to a wide shot out here where you can't see what's really going on. Okay, so now that is somewhat salvageable if you wanted to clean that all with C22 and so on. And the lines are not too extreme in terms of cornfield lines. And so I'm hoping that this hairpiece that I'm about to try on from New Times Hair will succeed, and the medium density will cover over any imperfections and problems that happen on the front hairline. But I do intend to give myself a kind of a 2-inch haircut for the foreseeable future, because having long hair, even though it looks better to have the curtains and stuff, which is my favorite style, it's too hard to manage when dealing with grays and so on. I do have hair dye, so I have started doing that a little bit sometimes on the sides. But yeah, in terms of having a hairstyle where I don't have to worry so much about that front hairline being exposed so people can see this kind of thing, to be on the safe side, even though I do like a brush back look, it's very hard to achieve with a hairpiece at this point in history. So it's much easier to go with a 2-inch hairstyle where it just sort of ends there and sort of fluffed around the front, and there's not enough leverage for the wind or anything else to push it back that way. And with medium density, I can put quite a lot of hair product through it. It'll still have some density to it, so you won't be able to see through the hairs, hopefully, with the medium density piece from New Times Hair that I'm about to put on. I know this is a review video, but just as a quick reminder to those who are having trouble maintaining the shave zone and they're slipping in and cutting back beyond the shave zone, or too short of the shave zone, and they end up with stubble around here that creates a difficult affixation point. The important thing is the pinky finger on the opposite hand, okay? So I'm just gonna keep that finger there as not only a guide, but a barrier, so I can't possibly shave the hairs back beyond the perimeter that I've preordained. And so that's how I'm going to do all of this. Also important to have very narrow edges on your razor blade. If they're thick, you won't be able to get good accuracy up there. Before I put on this hairpiece, I need to make sure it's a bit wet on the front hairs so that I can see through the hairs when I'm putting it on. Otherwise, it's just a fluffy mess in front of my face. So I'm going to wet this a bit. leave it there. And then, in my experience, it's difficult to figure out whether hair colours match and everything while things are wet. And I don't like that fluffy, proper hair, natural hair, being juxtaposed with the wet, damp hairpiece hair. So just so I have a clear understanding of what's going on, it also would be helpful for me to actually see the perimeter more clearly. So I'm going to wet all my hair as well. Okay, and I'll brush that back. Put on the hairband. And I will use this tincture of 2/3 ultra hold and 1/3 alcohol. It took a week for it to all mix nicely, so don't think you just add alcohol overnight and just shake it up a bit. It ends up white with bubbles, so you've got to slowly wait for the glue to dissolve into the alcohol, which it takes several days at least. Okay, so I think I glued so neatly this time that I don't really need to pick out much glue from the perimeter. I'll just leave it like that and just spray on some alcohol. Now this is not one of the edge pieces, this is the front of a hairpiece. So this is how it's designed to be. The reason I'm showing you that is to show there are no Auschwitz tags present on that. And I know that all the ones that were sliced from the edges of those hairpieces, those 3 hairpieces, had a little bit of Auschwitz tag on each of them. Now I think when placing this, the ultimate, if the curvature of your shave zone and your stencil, the way you've cut out your hairpiece is perfect, I think ideally you'd go for 1 millimeter or less gap here at the perimeter. It's better than, I used to say favor the overhang, and sometimes that seems to be true, but if you can get 1 millimeter gap, that's like where all the hair sort of fray towards the edge and your plastic begins there. So that area there looks like it's a gap, but it's actually just sporadic hairs along the perimeter. So if you go 1 millimeter in as a gap, then it should be kind of close to being perfect. I was a bit concerned when I placed my stencil up against one of these hair pieces earlier, and the plastic stencil that I used to cut things out, it seemed like it was much bigger than the hairpiece the way I cut it out. Because what you do is you place the stencil down on the plastic, you trace around the outside of the stencil, and then when you cut it out, you're cutting along the inside, and it's arbitrary how close to the marker you're going to cut out. You don't want any of that marker on the actual hairpiece. You could use eyebrow pencil instead of a marker, but I found that to be difficult to draw on both lace and poly, so I found that using a marker is fine since you're cutting it all out anyway. The interior area, therefore, is much smaller, not much smaller. It should be kind of similar in size to your stencil. There is a slight amount of stretch in hair pieces, not too much though, so you've got to be careful. But placing this on my head now, I feel like I placed it all the way back at the perimeter, and now I think it landed at a good spot where I think the hairline actually should be, just above the top nub of my forehead. So just remember, I did not place any glue right along the front edge because I want to get that perfect. You can see the hairs are a little bit lightened here from the bleach, which is good, but not too blonde like, you know, a dead rat. I do actually need to scrape some of this glue out of these perimeter hairs. Make sure the alcohol doesn't go in your eyes. It can slide down the edge and just slide in there like that. And it stings for about 60 seconds. No permanent damage done. You don't need to rinse your eyes out or anything. You just have to blink until it goes away. Okay, so I'm going to now lift up this front 1 to 2 centimeters, and I'll probably have to do that as well. All right, place that in here, and I will use the tincture along the front hairline because sometimes if you use pure concentrated ultra hold glue, it becomes thick and then you have a shadow, and you don't want that from the plastic. So this is quite drippy, given it's a 2-to-1 ratio of glue to alcohol. You can still see that, I mean, even though this has been opened and it's been exposed to air and everything, because the alcohol has really diluted it, it still maintains its very low viscosity. So make sure you scrape off the outside edge of the stick, the brush handle, so, because otherwise it'll just drip all over the place. And it's dangerous now that I'm going right up next to my hairs. These are the front hairline hairs. You really don't want glue in those. Now, given that this is a mixture of alcohol and glue, it's going to take longer than 15 minutes to dry. Probably more like half an hour, depending on how thick you paste it on. That's with a 2-to-3 ratio. Well, depending on the amount of alcohol in there, it will increase the drying time. And you wouldn't want to dilute it too much, otherwise the glue will no longer be effective. But I found this 2-to-1 ratio to be pretty good. Okay, so I finished pasting glue all over the front hairline now. Now I'm going to wait for about half an hour for this tincture of 1 part alcohol, 2 parts ultra hold glue to dry. And then I'll just press it down and give myself a haircut. I'm pretty happy with the density. This is medium density. I went with the 0.06 because New Times Hair do not make medium density 0.03. Sometimes there's a bit of a worry that 0.06 will create a plastic line shadow right there on the front hairline, which is a disaster, obviously. But in the past, I've found it to be very similar to 0.03. So let's hope it's okay. I mean, I'm leaning more towards needing to get the medium density than the medium light density, and it's a higher priority for me than the thickness of, 30 microns. We're not talking about billions in terms of nanometers, but we're talking about microns, a considerable number of them, but not significant enough that the human eye will tell. And we've got to worry about transition from a forehead straight into that plastic, so it looks like it's part of your skin. That seems hard to achieve, so if this achieves it at all, and we have seen that it can be achieved, this was a 0.06, but low density. You can see all the activity happening through the hairs. But as you saw, I did have a line of dirt or something along there that I didn't manage to clean up properly enough. So you really do have to maintain your hairline at all times. The rest of the hair blends in with other hair. It's usually not really a problem unless you've, got a gap between the perimeter and the hair piece. So yeah, I'll be back in about half an hour. Okay, so that's had time to dry. Let's just see if we can finish this up now. So there's no extreme shine on this plastic of any kind that I can see through those front bleached hairs, which is good. I like having the medium density back again. It's huge relief. Medium light density really is too transparent. You don't want to be able to see all the imperfections on the front hairline and through into the cornfield lines, etc. in these pieces. See how much glue I placed on the actual front hairs. Oh, it's okay. All right, I got a bit glue in there. Feeling the transition here, it feels like that 0.06 millimeter forehead. Sorry, I forgot to look up what micron means. 0.06 millimeter thick poly here. It feels like it's a nice smooth transition from the forehead into the thin skin. So it's not a problem in terms of being too thick or anything like that. I'm not going to deal with this right now, but really I should be getting some C22 and spraying it on there and maybe just dissolving that glue a little bit. All right, I'll do it. Okay, ready? So I'm just going to baby wipe, put on some C22 and just rub it over there. See, nothing can penetrate through poly, so unless it creeps in underneath, and I haven't put a puddle there or anything, should be all right. Now you can see the shininess starting to happen here with that poly, now that I'm rubbing a little citric acid all over it. The rest, I think I aimed well enough with that. Now you can see the transition between the the forehead and the hairs. It's really, really very well done with the bleaching. That was 30 minutes. So we've got a very blonde to brown happening. So we've got the graduation effect basically happening. I'm just going to wet some water onto this clean baby wipe and get rid of that C22. At least dilute it. So far so good, I think, with this hairpiece. I'm pretty impressed with New Times hair on this one. Now, in terms of getting you guys a discount on buying hairpieces from New Times Hair, I'm still waiting to hear back from their manager about trying to get you guys a discount of some kind when you go to their checkout. But they only sell wholesale. And I said, what's the minimum order quantity that you guys need to spend? How many hair pieces minimum do you need to order before you can use them, given that they only sell wholesale? And they said, one. You can buy one hair piece if you want from these guys. They don't have prices really listed either. And you've got to go and, I've told them, why don't you just sell to the public and have a website where you can just check out and everything else? No, instead you've got to email them and have back and forward conversations about exactly what you want. I'll try to simplify things for you and tell you exactly what this product is called in the description and give you a direct link to the product so you can just say, I want this, exactly as seen in StickOnHair's video. All right, you can give them the link to this video if you want. And I'm telling you right now, I'm very happy. I don't know if this is color number 4 or the color 4 ash, but it's fantastic. The other ones on the floor, obviously I had 3 hair pieces, so by rights I should only really get 3 perfect fronts, right? And the other 5 have all been sort of cut around from the edges. Sorry, the other 6. So I got 9, yeah, I got 9. So six hair pieces were able to be cut out of 3. This is brilliant for me as a partial wearer. That cuts my pricing down considerably. Most of you who wear full toppers are not going to get 2 out of it or anything like that. It's not extremely low or anything, but it was just a generous amount of plastic, and I think it's a right amount. It's actually really good. Okay, so New Times Hair, well done on this. Very happy. Gonna give myself a haircut right now. Now, there's one problem left to be seen with hair pieces that you can't see on day one, and that is shedding. Now, just brushing my hair with this brush that had already been sort of plucked out mostly, just doing what I just did with wet hair. I'm not seeing any hairs come out there, and there are no real loose hairs coming out. You want to sort of tug on it a bit, right? Okay, I got one. I was really trying to pressure it to come out. So I feel like it's not really a sheddy type hairpiece, which is fantastic. All thumbs ups so far. We could brush back a bit more than that. So I said I'd give myself a 2-inch haircut, but I really am not sure that that is exactly what I'm going to do. I might not cut it that short. All right, for this last hairline cut, I'll turn the camera around and give you the more zoomed in camera, okay? So you can inspect the hairline under a microscope, basically. Hopefully you can see this, because I can't see the screen. Okay, so it's a bit of shine from the glue seeping out a bit, but the great thing about it is I use the diluted tincture rather than the full strength undiluted ultra hold. So that means it's not going to be bulging out with thick clumps of glue. I'm always going to try to opt for a brush forward look anyway, because I just don't trust that hairpieces, even though I show you on the camera that it looks really good up close at the hairline. Are you able to see all this nicely? Long term, I don't really trust that hairlines are going to remain perfect. They can. I mean, if you brush your hair back and style it back, I'll use this product from Headgear, which is just a paste, just a cheap chemist option for $10. I might as well just push that company. I use them all the time. Yep, I'm happy with it. Paste, very low amount of holes. So if I want to style this really neatly, I can brush it back, and given that there's no leverage from wind or anything else, it will not get damaged. And also, given that it's poly, there's no real glue exposed unless you've oozed it out, but it's not oozed out at the moment. So if you have done a really good job with the front hairline with a poly, which is pretty easy to do because poly just, you can put the glue on the poly and stick it down, and it lands exactly where you want it to. There shouldn't be any problem with any dirt or anything attaching itself over there. Gotta make sure there's no shadow from the 0.06 millimeter ledge. But according to my site, I can't see it. Boom! No, it's fine. So yeah, the bleaching really helped. It's pretty good. It's very good. It's very, very good. So I highly recommend this New Times hairpiece. I'll put a link in the description to whatever it is. It's 0.06 millimeter medium density poly. I don't know which version of it. I think they've got multiple versions of what I just described, but I'll put the link to exactly which one this is so you guys can email them and order it. Yeah, until they give me some way to contact them for you, it's easy. All I can give you is an email address, and you'll just have to start a conversation and say, I would like to buy the hair that I saw in this video. All right, thanks.